Hi, it's Steph, and we're at the Home Depot, and they've gotten a bunch of new beautiful houseplants. So we're gonna go through and do the January inventory. And while we can't garden outside, we can certainly do some indoor gardening with some beautiful houseplants. If you're pretty new to houseplants and you just want a couple to start kind of dipping your toes and practicing, these small planters here are a great option. These are their 4.8-inch planters, and this year they're at $7.98. Last year they used to be $6.98, but I think like everything else, the price has gone up just a little bit. And what's great about these plants is there's quite a few different varieties to choose from here, but they also come with a little tag that will give you some information about the plant. So this one here, for example, will tell you, hi there, friends call me Janet Craig compacta. This is a type of dracaena, and it will give you some growing information as well. So this plant here says that it enjoys medium light, and it'll give you some further care instructions on the back of the tag. Easy to grow, medium growth rate. It'll tell you when to fertilize it and what the temperature that is ideal for this particular plant. Now, if there's one thing I've learned over the last couple of years while I collect some houseplants, is that it's always better to water a little bit less than a little too much. So the fastest way to kill houseplants for me in the past has been overwatering. Look how beautiful this is. This is a type of polka dot plant. They come sometimes in like a silvery polka dot, some that look a little bit pink, and this one here is green and yellow. And it says that my full name is Cadadium, I believe. And if I mispronounce some of these, I'm sorry about that. This one likes highlight. Now, anything that typically has gold on the leaves, whether it be an outside plant or an indoor, will typically need more light. So again, this one will tell you it's a highlight type plant, and it will tell you the growth rate as well. It says it's a fast grower, water when soil feels dry, and you can just stick your finger in it, and if it feels like it's dry, then you know it's time to water. Also, when the soil kind of starts pulling away from the container, like here, like these could use some watering. Now this here is an ivy, and you want to be careful with ivy because they are a plant, especially the trailing ivies, which this one might start to trail after a while. They sometimes are prone to spider mites. Okay, now let's see if this one is called a starling ivy. And what kind of light does this like? Medium light. It's a medium light plant. So just something to keep in mind. This one here is another variety. This one is variegated, so it's got that green and creamy edges here, the creamy edges on the outers. So ivy is something that a lot of people like to grow, but they are prone to spider mites, something to keep in mind. And this is a waffle plant. In fact, when I did the houseplant tours last January, someone filled me in on what the name of this plant was. And I actually have one of these at home. Look how beautiful that is, the dark foliage against all of this green. So if you have a collection of houseplants, you add one of these, it's almost like you're making an indoor garden, really. Different color foliage, different textures, different leaf shapes. Makes it for a really interesting display. So this one says it's called the Dark Mystery Pilea. And let's see what kind of light this one likes. It says it's ideal for terrariums. And it says weekly water, bright, and it tolerates medium light. Keep above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So most houseplants are going to like to be indoors in pretty warm temperatures, comfortable temperatures. But you can take them outside in the summer. They like to go outside in the summer, and then they put on quite a bit of growth at that point also. These are some types of dracaena. Again, you can see really beautiful foliage. You have the dark green, the light green. Look at this other plant with beautiful dark foliage. And the underside has this really pretty purple. This actually almost reminds me of lettuce, a really cool red lettuce, right? Now, this one is also called waffle plant. So now it's confusing me because I have thought all along that this plant that I had at home, which I'm pretty certain someone had commented in one of my videos, was called a waffle plant. But this might actually be the waffle plant. So if you know, comment below. I would be interested to find out. So this one here also says that it likes medium light. It will tolerate medium light, but it prefers high light. So you can see there, water weekly, bright, tolerates medium light, keep above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, plants do like a lot of light, but a lot of them will tolerate medium light or even low light. But in general, the brighter the spot, the better they do. This is what they call an arrowhead plant. It is a type of, let's see, Syngonium, Photofolum. these are tricky names, right? It says Exotic Illusion Arrowhead Plant. Really pretty. There's some of these that even have like a pink foliage. Now let's look at some of the bigger ones. Oh, they even have some ferns. Now what I could tell you about ferns is that they like a lot of humidity. So if you don't have a lot of humidity in your house, you can do something like put them on a pebble tray. That is just one of those saucers that catch water with some rocks that you can put water in, and that will evaporate and provide some moisture for the fern. Some people even run humidifiers in some of their plants. Like ferns like moisture and a bit of humidity, and so do fiddle leaf figs. This is a real pretty one too. Look at the different colors on this one here. Isn't that gorgeous? Let's see what this is called. This is a Photonia. Really pretty. I've seen these come in a variegated pink color as well. They have some of the Proven Winners leaf joy plants in stock, and there are some that come in the planters with the soil, and there's also some that come in these vessels with water, which are pretty cool. Now look how beautiful this one is. I love the color on it. It's called Chroma Belize Ficus Elastica. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that foliage right there. This is stunning. It says that it's part of the Cocoon collection. It's a highlight plant for brightly lit spaces, tolerates low light conditions, small stature, low maintenance variety, perfect for a desk or small table. It'll give you some care instructions on the back. Water when the top inch of soil is dry. Purified distilled water is best. I have a few plants that say that, but I have well water, and they seem to do fine. I just usually fill up my watering can, let it sit at room temperature overnight, and then I water the next day. It likes temperatures between 60 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and it says to fertilize. Feed it once per month at half strength when the plant is actively growing. So typically most of the plants will actively grow in the summer. So that is when I typically fertilize my plants. And I'll show you what I use in a little while. And this size planter here is $19.98. And there's a few different varieties. This looks like a regular ficus. Rubber plant is another name, but look how much prettier this one is, at least in my opinion. Now these do get dusty, so you can just take a damp cloth and wipe down the foliage once in a while. Some people also put them in the shower and kind of like hit them with the shower. Look at this cutie. This is a Birkin. I actually have one of these, and it's been doing pretty well, surprisingly. I've had it for about 2 years now, still putting out new leaves, and the new foliage is this beautiful white variegated color. Isn't that pretty? And they have this one in this little container. Now, I don't know how much these are, but let's take a look. Oh, it looks like they're also $19.98 for the glass bowls. You can see all of the root growth. You can keep them in here because it does make a pretty display, or you can also plant them in some soil. Here's a few more varieties of the Proven Winners Leaf Joy plants in what they call the H2O bowls. And this is a type of dracaena. Dracaena is also known as a corn plant. I actually have one at home, and it's gotten quite tall. Look how pretty that is. Some more Birkins, and this here is called a Hawaiian Epipremnum. It looks like a Pothos to me. And a Pothos is a really easy, kind of like the gateway plant, right? It's a trailer. People will give you cuttings, and they are just prolific, and they keep giving and giving. These are the 5-inch winter waterfall orchid. They were $29.98, and they are currently $17.98. Look how pretty these are. Now, orchids also like to be kept warm, and they bloom once a year. It says 5 ice cubes once a week. I have used the ice cube method with a money tree, and it works pretty well. I guess it's a good way to not overwater your plant. Let me know what your thoughts are on the whole ice cube watering of houseplants. Talking about plants that look like lettuce, here's another one. Look at this. This is some type of bird's nest fern. Look at that. This one here is called an Asplenium bird's nest. See, I think that's what at the end there. It's $14.98. These are the Vigoro brand plants. Look at that. Wild looking, right? It almost looks like the leaves on celery. And this one here is really beautiful. I am drawn to these that have the really pretty tropical looking bright foliage. Let's see what this one is called. This is an Aglaonema. And also $14.98. It likes medium light, provides clean air. That's another thing that plants do. They do clean your air. So houses that have a lot of plants have cleaner air. It's Scientifically proven. I've been trying to convince my husband of that so that we can keep adding some houseplants. But he just says that he doesn't want our house to turn into a jungle. We've seen some of those pictures of the houseplant people on Instagram. But I say the more the merrier. Look at this one. This looks like a type of palm, but maybe a mini palm. Let's see. Camadoria. It's a 6-inch planter here. $14.98. Looks like it grows kind of in a clump form, similar to what bamboo does, right? And look at that. It does, to me, it looks like a miniature version of something like a majesty palm. If you want to talk about an easy plant, this is one here. It is a snake plant. These come by a couple of different names. You'll hear them called snake plants, mother-in-law's tongue, and Sansevieria. So here you can see it's labeled Sansevieria. It likes medium light. Now these are basically like a succulent. They don't need a lot of water at all. I give mine a tiny bit of water about once a month and it keeps it happy. I have killed quite a few of these in the past by overwatering. What will happen is they start to rot at the base here. It gets all like mushy and it'll end up breaking and eventually the plant will die. But snake plants are really cool. They have a really nice architectural shape with their spike sword-like foliage and a really low needs in terms of watering type plant. These are also $14.98. All of these are Vigoro, and in this size container, which is a 6-inch planter, it looks like 1.4 quart, and they are all $14.98. If you want some floor plants, my store also had a huge shipment of really beautiful floor plants. So we will go ahead and take a look at some of these larger planters. We have some of these birds of paradise. This one's called White Bird, and these really large planters here are $39.98. Now these do send up a bloom, but they're pretty rare to come by. I've actually never seen one in someone's house that has a bloom, but let me know in the comments if you have one and it blooms for you. It's a really interesting looking bloom. It actually kind of looks like a bird's beak or something. Really tropical looking, real pretty. Here's another one that sends up blooms, and it is a serenity plant or a peace lily. It's very common when people pass away that they offer these as a memorial type plant. I've actually had one since 2006 when my grandfather passed away that my office had sent home to me, and I've kept it alive, surprisingly. Here's one thing I can tell you about watering a peace lily, is that their leaves will start to droop when they need water. So they always let you know when they're thirsty. So if you have a peace lily and the leaves start to droop, it's time to give it a drink of water. But they're also really beautiful. They have large foliage and will send up these really pretty white lily type blooms. Now the birds of paradise that we looked at was $39.98. I think it's because it's a little more of an exotic type plant, maybe, but this one here is slightly smaller and they're $26.98. So there are different price points on these floor type planters. Now this is the serenity plant here, and it is a medium light plant, and these are $26.98. Easy to grow, attractive foliage. And check out the leaves on this beauty. This is a philodendron, and doesn't it look so tropical? Gorgeous. They're very similar to the monstera in the sense that they both have a cut leaf, and these are just stunning. I actually have one at home. Pretty sure that mine is a monstera, but it could be a type of philodendron. I got it from my neighbor, so she wasn't sure of the variety, but it's doing really well in my dining room, which has a lot of light, so it's pretty happy there. I do need to stake it a little bit, because what happens is these leaves, the foliage is so large that they will start to droop at times, and so they need a tiny bit of staking, but they are really impressive. And you know, they're a plant that definitely makes a statement. Look at that. So this philodendron here, it's well, you know, philodendron, it almost looks like it wants to say monstera, so it's possible that philodendron and monstera is the same thing. Again, I'm only 3 years into the houseplant journey, so let me know in the comments below. But I do know that it's gorgeous. It says it likes medium light. Mine's in highlight. It does wonderfully. It says water, maintain moderately moist soil. I probably water mine about once a week, and it has attractive foliage. $26.98 on these. Look at this cool spiky plant. This is a type of yucca house plant, and it has these really interesting looking canes, or I guess you could call them trunks. Look at that. And there are multiple trunks in one planter, so it makes it for a really interesting look. Now these are, it says that it has a yucca cane 2 set, and they are $39.98. These also like medium light, maintain moderately moist soil, attractive foliage. While these just have green leaves, I have seen them come in one that has some striping that also looks variegated in green and yellow, green and white. So I do believe that they come in a few different varieties. And here is another snake plant, or Sansevieria. I have one of these at home. I actually have two snake plants. They're both very different. The one in my living room looks like this, and then I have one that's almost reverse. It has like darker foliage with a little bit lighter veining. Really pretty. I have a teenage son, and he actually has one in his room. He really liked it, so I let him have it. He has a good bright window in his room, so I said, you know what? He likes the plant, and he has good sunlight. That'll work. Let's put it in there. So let's see. These are $26.98. It says that it likes medium light, easy to grow, avoid overwatering. So yes, for sure. On the snake plants, you want to avoid too much water. And a lot of these that come from the store, they have like this pea or coconut core mix that does retain a bit of moisture. So even when you get this home, you probably, like, this feels pretty moist. You won't have to water this probably for a solid couple of weeks when you get it home. Another thing that you want to be careful of with houseplants is that I've actually seen a couple of fungus gnats flying around. The more moisture you have in your soil, the more likely you are to start getting those little bugs that look like fruit flies. So something to keep in mind. Now, I have a friend who deals with, she has a lot of houseplants, and she says that in order to not deal with fungus gnats, what she does is she puts 1 drop of Dawn dish soap mixed in with some water in a spray bottle, and she will spray the soil on her plants and around her plants periodically, and she says that keeps it at bay. So another little tip that I thought I would pass along. Now, this is a sago palm. You can see here, it kind of almost has a look of like a palm tree, or like almost like a pineapple, really, because it's like a trunk that's pretty wide and then all of these cool leaves. And while it is really cool looking, this is a very toxic plant. So if you have pets or small children, you probably want to stay away from adding one of these to your home. So here it says, sago palm, caution, do not eat, extremely poisonous to human and animals. And you can see how it has a really tropical look, would look really pretty on a patio in the summer, but just something to be aware of, that they are toxic, so be cautious. And it likes bright light. Full sun, it gets to be 5 to 20 feet tall, so these get pretty large in the right growing conditions, and hardy to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Ideally, it likes temperatures 60 to 70 degrees. And look at this, some fiddle leaf figs. Now, I bought a fiddle leaf fig on clearance about 3 years ago, and it's just now liking the spot that I put it in. So that's the thing with fiddle leaf figs. You want to make sure that if you find a spot that it's happy in, you keep that plant in that spot. These are also one that like humidity, and they like bright light. And they also like to have their soil a little bit more on the moist side. Now, I still only water mine once a week, and it's put on quite a bit of growth, and it's really happy now. These also have these really large leaves, which means they have a tendency to pick up a little bit of dust, but you can just wipe them with a damp cloth, and they're just really beautiful. The new leaves are shinier. You can see these are pretty new leaves, and then they age to a bit of a darker green. And these fiddle leaf figs here are $26.98. It says medium light, water maintained moderately moist. I would say that that is true. Mine does better when the soil stays moderately moist. But again, I only give mine a good watering about once a week, and it seems to do pretty well. And easy to grow. I wouldn't say that these are the easiest plant to grow. I would say they're probably medium when it comes to ease of growth, simply because they can be a little finicky about humidity, watering, and light conditions. But like I said, once you find a good spot, leave it there. Maybe just rotate it periodically, and that'll be it. There are some larger versions of that rubber plant, or that ficus plant, and these are $26.98, but this dark foliage is actually stunning. Look at that. When you look at it in a sea of green, it really pops. I definitely look at houseplants kind of like I look at my garden. I try to pick up things that have different colors, different leaf shapes and textures, because I think it makes for a really interesting display. And here are some of those corn plants that I was mentioning that have different color foliage. The dracaena. These also have those type of trunks you can see here in the planter. And these are actually a combo, it looks like, where you get the dracaena on top and some pothos at the bottom. So let's check these out. So these here are the Dracaena mass cane. So it comes with a grouping. This one here has 3 canes. You can see it's already sprouting the plant there. This one looks like it has 1 cane in it, but there are a couple that have multiple canes, which actually I think that gives you even a little bit more interest. But there's quite a few of these plants here, and at the bottom they have this pothos, and the pothos is a trailer plant, so this will trail and cascade out of the container here. Now this is the one that I was telling you is very easy to grow. Most people grow them in kind of a hanging basket situation, but these here are $39.98 for this dracaena with the pothos at the bottom. And here are those majesty palms. Some people used to call them the polar palms, but they basically are a really pretty plant, also has a very tropical feel. And while they look beautiful inside as houseplants, they also look really lovely in the summer on your patio. When I'm doing my garden tours here at the Home Depot in the summer, I often see people pick up a couple of these right around May when they're starting to do all of their outdoor decorating with their planters. They will typically have a couple of these loaded up into the cart, and I know that they're going to go on someone's patio. But these here are the larger version of the patio palms or the majesty palm. They're in a 10-inch container for $22.98. And these like really bright light, which makes them a really good candidate for outdoors in summer. Especially if you live in a cold climate, they will not handle outdoor weather. If you live in a tropical climate, then you can probably get away with these outdoor year-round. Here is another beginner-friendly houseplant, and it is called a ZZ plant. And you can see that it has kind of an upright growth habit and foliage that's a bit rubbery. These are a plant that can take a little bit lower light, so I would say that they're probably a medium light plant. And these are also $26.98. Can y'all see how many birds are in here? They love to hang out on this in this indoor greenhouse here. There is bird seed in this area and plants, so it doesn't matter what time of day or year that we come here, there is always birds in this area. Look at this. It's like an aviary. And a few more really beautiful, colorful house plants. So they have some more aglaonema here, and this one has some pink veining in it. Look at that. Gorgeous. It says aglaonema collection. Now they come in different shades. I've seen them in pink. There's some with red. And if you scan this QR code, it'll give you more information about the plant. For care, it says medium to high light, water when top inch of soil dries, and keep above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And they have a ZZ plant that is purple. So this is a dark foliage ZZ plant. Now you can see here it looks like these were grown in grow bags, so you might want to like pull these out when you purchase it, just to give them more room for the roots to expand. But over time these should break down. They are supposed to be biodegradable from what I understand. And look at that. The only thing is that sometimes hard water, like I have at my house from the well, will sometimes give these a little bit more dust or some spotting, but you can easily wipe it off. And look how pretty that is. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous color. So let's see if there's any specs on this one. Yeah, this one just has a tag that says it is the Trending Tropicals collection by Costa Farms, but this is a dark foliage ZZ plant. I'm certain of it. Really beautiful. Let's see, what is this here? It almost looks like a type of philodendron or like a birkin. What is this one called? This is a white night philodendron, and it has really gorgeous large leaves. Look at that. This one here, it says it's medium to high light, water when top 2 inches of soil dries, keep above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And I actually have one of these. This is a polka dot plant. It's a type of begonia. Look at that. Polka dot plant begonia. These like medium to high light, water when top 2 inches of soil dries, keep at 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I do have mine in a very sunny window, and it is really happy. I bought mine as a clearance plant. It was probably like $3 to $5 at Lowe's a few years back. And while my leaves have not gotten quite this large, it is really healthy and it's putting on a lot of growth, so I'm really happy with it. This is another one that requires a little bit of staking because as it grows, it tends to get a little bit heavy. So I do have mine staked with some chopsticks, and it seems to be working just fine. Now this one here, I know to be a difficult plant to grow, and the reason I say that is because I have had 2 of these beauties and they have both died on me. So either I'm doing something wrong or they're tricky. You can let me know what your thoughts are. But this is a type of calathea. And this one says it's called Dottie. I had one called Dottie. I had one called Pink Star. They looked very similar. So this one here's the Dottie. Calathea dotty. It says medium to high light, water when top inch of soil dries, keep above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I did the same thing I do with all my other plants. I just watered it about once a week and I kept it in a sunny window, but for some reason it did not like my house. And like I said, I've lost 2 of them, but look how stunning it is. It has this beautiful pink striping, the dark purple underside. I just love it. Now, let's get a price on all of these. So all of the ones we just looked at by Costa Farms in what looks to be a 6-inch container, they are, let's see, $19.98 on these. And some more tropicals. These are Bromeliad. Yeah, that's it. But look how beautiful these blooms are. If you want something cool to keep you through these winter months, this is really funky. Look at that. So these are pretty small containers, and it looks like they're $12.98. But these, once the bloom dies back, you can cut it down and just keep it as a house plant with the foliage, and it'll bloom. It's supposed to bloom, I believe, once a year. I've only had one of these before. I bought it with a bloom. I cut off the bloom. It never bloomed for me again, and eventually the foliage ended up dying. But look at how pretty that is. So it says that it likes bright light, has attractive foliage. It likes temperatures between 60 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So because it is tropical, it likes it pretty warm. And to water it, fill center cup with water. So you see this center cup here? That is where you want to put the water for these bromeliads. These are some more bromeliads here. And these are in a little terracotta pot for $12.98. Now these don't have blooms in them, but they're a different coloring from the other one we saw. Even these look a bit different, but look how pretty this bloom is. Look at that. So this has a different bloom than, say, that one. So they're all a little bit different. But I really like the foliage on this one because it has a bit of this dark variegation. And again, you would water it in this cup here. Who says money doesn't grow on trees? These are called money trees. And I've had one of these for a couple of years, and they grow really well. They like a lot of light, and they're pretty low fuss. These are the ones that I was telling you about, how we did the ice cubes for a few years. Now my son had come home with this plant with his dad. They had gone to the Home Depot, and he said, look, Mommy, we brought home a plant, and it was one of these money trees in a container just like this. And I've since put it in a larger planter because it has grown quite a bit, and we did the whole ice cube thing for a couple of years. Now I just water it with my watering can, but the ice cubes did work. You just have to keep in mind that whenever you pot it up, you'll need more than the 2 ice cubes that you put here, right? So I think we were up to about 5 ice cubes when we decided to repot it. But these are a great gift to give as a gift when someone either moves into a new home or starts a new business, because they are a sign of prosperity from what I've read. So I think that these would be a really good gift to gift someone in one of those situations. But look how cool they are. Nice big foliage, easy to grow, low maintenance. The money tree. And right below the money tree, they have what looks to be these really small junipers, and these are for bonsai. Look at that. So they almost look like a blue rug juniper that someone has started to train into a small bonsai. And that is what the tag says, actually. It says, oh, it's a Wichita bonsai. So it might be a type of Wichita blue juniper. But they have a few of them here in these cool light green type planters. And they are $16.98. But in a couple of months, when they start getting all of their evergreens outside, if bonsai is something that you're interested in, you can almost buy a juniper and start training it. I bought my husband a grafting kit for Christmas, and it came with a little bonsai scissor. If succulents are more your speed, they actually have a sale on succulents currently at my store. The 2.5-inch succulents at 3 for $10 or $3.33 each. And they have quite a few here. Look how pretty and colorful this tray is here. Isn't that gorgeous? I love these. And the good thing about succulents is they don't need a lot of water. So the less water, the happier they are. They need some, but not a lot at all. And look at this. I found some clearance plants. So that is always a good score. So they have this one here that's a crispy wave Japanese Asplenium, a nidus fern for $4.99. This one, what is this called? There's different ones. They have a philodendron. So look around for clearance plants. You never know what you might find. This one looks like a hanging basket type of the bird's nest fern. And right below, I found a few more of those bonsai type plants. Look how pretty this planter is. It has like a button on it. And how much are these? $16.98, same price, but really pretty planters. And right beside it, there are some polka dot plants. You remember we saw one that was like green and white? It might have been yellow and white. Yeah, when we first walked in, we saw a yellow and green one actually. And I said that they come in pink and white. Well, here they are. This one here is green and pink. This polka dot plant is another green and pink. So that is like a darker magenta. This is more like a bubblegum or a lighter pink. And then here is a white and green one. I have a friend, Sue, who grows these and puts them outside in her garden in the summer, similar to what you would do with a coleus. I can't recall if she does it from cuttings or if she grows them from seed, but check out Sue at the Garden Moxie. She does that, and they look really beautiful in her garden. I wanted to clarify that I went back and looked at this plant to confirm if it was the same type of plant or not. This does not appear to be a polka dot plant. It's actually called Acadium, and it says that it likes highlight, but they are very, very similar in features. They still have some Anthurium. Now this is a plant that you will see around the holidays. I don't know if it's because it has the red coloring, but you'll see it again a lot around Valentine's Day. But it has this really pretty red bloom. I've actually also seen them with pink, and these here are $12.98. Some more pretty plants in terracotta planters, and these are 6-inch terracotta planters, and they are $13.98. So this would also make a really great gift because it already comes in a nice decorative pot that they can then use if they decide to change the planter at some point. Now these are also in plastic pots in here, so this is just the outside pot. Now this one does not have a name on it, but it also looks like a type of philodendron. But look how pretty that new leaf is with that bright yellow-green coloring. Really pretty. Look at this. I like this one a lot. Actually, this is the one I'm going to buy today. Now I found a dark leafed one that looks a little bit fuller, and now I'm torn because I really like this one here with this new coloring that has a little bit of pink in it. Just really interesting. And then there's this one. I'll have to make a decision. Lots of hanging baskets too. So if you want to put something in your house that maybe hangs from a ceiling or from a window, they have a lot of those really pretty, what are they? The macrame. Yes, the macrame type crochet plant holders that would look really cool with some of these plants in them. Now this here is a Maranta or a prayer plant, and I have a similar variety of these as well, and I absolutely love it. What is really cool about these is that I find that the one I have, and I think this might be true of all of them, it kind of folds up at night and then opens up again in the morning. It's almost like it does this whole prayer hand thing where it closes and then reopens. It's really interesting. And look at that. Really pretty pink veining, a little bit of pink on the undersides. Now let's see how much these hanging baskets are. It looks like they're $19.98, and these are 8-inch planters. Now, if you didn't want to use them as hanging baskets, you could definitely pot them up and have them maybe trailing down a bookcase or the corner of a fireplace. There's so much you can do. This is a really pretty one. Variegated ivory and green. And look at this here. Now, I have one similar to this. Let's see if I can remember what this is called. Oh, it's not coming to me now. I'm pretty sure it's a type of philodendron. That there is one that's called Brazil that has a bit of a yellow stripe in the middle that's really beautiful. This one is just green, but look at those pretty like heart-shaped leaves. Almost reminds me of my eastern redbud tree. This variety might be the neon one. My friend Antoinette actually gave me a cutting of hers, and it's looking really nice. It's slow growing, but it's been doing really well. And look how pretty. This one, it must be the same type of plant because it has the same heart-shaped leaf. So I'm gonna go with this being some kind of neon type philodendron. Now here is a pothos that they have in a hanging basket. And if you have a pothos and it's getting too long and you're not sure what to do with the length of it, maybe it needs a haircut, what you can do is if you trim it, and you have, see how you have some of these nodes here? You want to definitely have some of these growth points on it, but you could snip it right there, throw this in some water, and all of these nodes here will start pushing out roots, and you've essentially propagated your pothos and gotten a new plant out of it. So that's what you can do when your trailing plants get a little too long. You can give it a trim, and you can take them and put the cuttings in water, and you will start growing new plants. Here are some more hanging baskets, and that is an ivy. Again, proceed with caution with the ivy if you don't like spider bites, which is, you know, something that you might have to deal with those. They also have some ferns, and my grandmother used to always grow ferns, but they dropped a ton of leaves, and now I realize it's because they like humidity. So if the environment is too dry, they will start drying and dropping a lot of leaves. But that is a really pretty one. It almost looks like, I believe, what they call the button fern. I wish these had more names on it. Yes, it is. Look at that. It's the lemon button fern. It likes medium light. And let's see, 65 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, medium growth, water when it feels dry. It says it's easy to grow. It might be easy to grow. I just don't know how easy it is to keep happy when it likes humidity. But that is a button fern, and you can see that it looks like little buttons. Really pretty foliage. All of these hanging baskets are 8 inches for $19.98. They also have some 6-inch hanging baskets with some different varieties. They have the Maranta as well as some Pothos and some Philodendron. You can see here some Maranta. And let's see how much these are, the 6-inch hanging baskets. $12.98. So the 8 inches are $19.98, and these smaller 6-inch ones are $12.98. And they've all just been watered. How pretty that is. This almost has like a velvet-like appearance, doesn't it? A lot of depth to the color of the foliage. Just beautiful. Check out this gorgeous orchid in this low-growing pot. It almost looks like it's 3 small orchids in one low-growing planter. So this would also make a really beautiful gift. Look at that. These are stunning. Let's see how much this is. It is $34.98 for this orchid arrangement here. And then there are these Leaf Joys in a little bit bigger container. These are the Proven Winners Houseplant brand. It's called a Feather Touch Calathea, and it's actually really, really pretty. Look at that. It looks like it gets a little bit tall. Probably a medium height type plant, and these are $29.98. And you can see that it's in a plastic pot inside of this woven type basket, but this is a real pretty one. This Feather Touch Calathea likes medium to bright indirect light. It says avoid direct sunlight and feed once per month at half strength when the plant is actively growing. And if you're looking for some blooms in the middle of winter, here you go. These gorgeous plants here are called cyclamen, and they have really pretty leaves that are very similar to, say, a begonia leaf, and these really pretty blooms. So these here are pink. A couple of weeks ago, they had some different colors to choose from. Let's see how much these are. They're $10.98. And this is another plant that I often see at the garden center this time of year in January. And let's see what these are called. They come in red, looks like fuchsia, white. And I have an ID on these beauties. These are Kalanchoe. Look at how pretty they are. They have very large leaves, very similar to, say, a primrose. And they are $7.98 for this. It looks to be like maybe a 4-inch pot. Really pretty. Okay, I decided that I wanted the colorful one instead of the solid dark leaved one. And now I have decided that I like this one by the Proven Winners Leaf Joy, the Chroma Belize Ficus, over the coloring on this one. So this is what I'm going to pick up today. As I head to the register, here is my final thought on why I decided on this one over the dark-leaved one, is because I do have hard water and water from my well, I didn't want to constantly have to be cleaning the dark foliage, so I opted to get this really beautiful, colorful one. Well, that brings us to the end of the January inventory at the Home Depot. I hope that you've enjoyed checking out the houseplants here at my store. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button, and please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. And we'll see you soon.